excited. What we've all been waiting for, tonight's AGC Talk. That's right. It is Brad Gudim, and Brad is sharing his 10 key elements of event marketing. He's going to be sharing some magic with us. He is a magician. That's right, a real live magician, which makes this so much fun for me. MagicBrad is part of America's hot new generation of businesses and product promoters. He acquired his street smarts the old-fashioned way through firsthand experience, solving problems that stop others cold, turning small into big and big into bigger. His credits include an impressive and varied list of trade shows, sales meetings, expos, and product promotions. Clients include Marriott Hotels, CIMA Labs, Schulte Associates, Loss Prevention Services, Sales by Phone, Direct Services, Transport, Rapid Graphics, Pella Windows, and many, many more. He is an expert at what he does. He has been in the field for a long time. He's someone that I appreciate, that I love and adore, and I enjoy watching. So I'm going to bring Brad up onto the screen. And Brad, thank you so much for joining the AGC Talks. I'm going to take off and let you have your 15-minute talk.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Travis, and hello, everybody. My name is Brad, and I go by MagicBrad on the internet. And the reason I do that is because when I was a little kid, a friend of my brother's made a quarter disappear, and he pulled it out of my ear, and it got me fascinated with the concept of magic. So I started doing magic at a young age, through grade school, into high school. I actually started doing shows in high school, and that's how I was making my money. I didn't work at the restaurant as a waiter. I didn't work at the drugstore. I did magic shows. And then when I graduated Fridley High School in 1975, people said, you should get a job. So I did. I got a job for Anoka County Parks and Recreation Department. I worked about 3 years, got laid off, and I thought, where's my gold watch? So I learned early on that the job was not all that secure, and I opted to be a full-time magician. So what I did is I tried to target the groups that I would target was corporate events and association conventions, because there's a lot of corporate here with the Honeywell and Best Buy and General Mills, Pillsbury, Target, all these different corporations. So I wanted to do magic for these corporations, and that's what got me into the event industry. So I started doing a lot of different events and being around the people that are putting the events up. I started learning a lot of the vendors that do the staging and the lighting and the limousine services, the florists, and the event planners and all this. So I started growing this network of people, and then I wanted to do more magic for these corporations, and I wanted to figure out how can I market to these people instead of chasing them around and making cold calls. So what I did, what's called now is attraction marketing, and I created my own event that drew the event planners in. In fact, I still do the event. It's held in March, and it's for event planners to come and find all these different resources. So what I'm talking about today is how to use a live event to market a product, service, or cause. And the presentation that I'm going to be talking about, the 10 key elements, initially it was for the trade show world, but I kind of tweaked it around a little bit to represent events in general. So to start off, like Travis mentioned, I'm going to do a magic trick or a magic illusion with this dental floss here. This isn't really dental floss, it's actually rental floss. Okay, it's a bad joke. Sorry. I don't tell them very good. Look, it's mental floss. Just a joke. Here we go. Here's the fun part. David Copperfield, he does illusions. I'm going to show you some magic. Watch this little piece of string here. If I break it, just like that, now it looks like two pieces. See? So if I break it again, we're going to break this into multiple pieces. Now here's the illusion. What I'm doing is I crack my knuckle, and it actually sounds like it breaks. Listen. Did you hear that? I crack my knuckle and it looks like separate pieces. In fact, some people actually think that it looks like separate pieces. So all these pieces represent these 10 key elements, multiple different pieces. I take all the pieces like this and I roll them together in a little ball in what I call a barehanded fuse welding process. Now watch the little ball. I take the little ball like this, and the perspiration from my fingers will actually make the ball so it'll stick on the piece just like this. See how that sticks there? and it looks like one piece. Now, if you want to see magic, you just do this. Ooh, ah, hey, isn't that cool? So that's how you pull it all together with the 10 key elements. Now we're going to get into the 10 key elements. I hear the applause. The crowd goes wild. You know, when I started doing magic, I told my mom, when I grow up, I want to be a magician. And she said, you can't do both. So here I am. Here's what it is. It's the 10 key elements of event marketing. Now, this is my little cheat sheet, but I've got this on a PDF document. If anybody wants it, you can just contact me after the presentation, and I will email the presentation, the PDF over to you. So number one, the first element is the objective. Why are you doing the event? Now, so we use the example of like at a trade show. When you go to a trade show and you set up your booth, why are you there? Are you there to generate leads? Or are you there to make point of purchase sales? Or are you there just brand recognition? Or are you there to bond relationships in the industry? Because all these different objectives have different strategy behind them. So if you're doing lead generation, what you want to do is you got about 7 minutes before those people come by, or 7 seconds while those people are walking by, you got to grab their attention and you need to qualify them right away. You can't just sit and chit chat because you only got so much time in the day to pull that information out. So you got to qualify those people and find out how much money they have and when they're going to give it to you. So that's the basics of the objective. Get real clear on it if you're trying to do brand recognition, or if you're doing lead generation, or if you're doing point of purchase sales or building relationships. Get real clear on the objective. Number two is pre-event promotion. Now, some people think, well, why do I have to do any pre-event promotion? Isn't the trade show or the event producer, they're bringing in all the audience? What do I have to do any promotion for? Well, here's part of the reason. If you don't invite your customers and your prospects, and your competition does invite your customers and prospects, who do you think the customers and prospects are going to appreciate? So it's a good idea to do some pre-show promotion, do some mailings, do some phone calls, possibly email, maybe even an ad. You might have an industry publication and you do an ad and it says, see us at the Consumer Electronics Show or see us at the insurance convention. So do some pre-show promotion. That way when people see that information and they're walking around the trade show floor or walking around the event, when they see you, they know who to contact to because you sent them a letter, or possibly you might have sent them a gift or something, a pen with their name on it or such. So number three is the message, getting clear with your message so that when people do get to the booth, the message is congruent with your objective. If it's branding, the message should be a branding message, and the pre-show promotion should have a branding element to it. So all that stuff has to be congruent and have a through line with it, with all the different elements from the objective. And so make sure your message is real clear and concise of what it is you're there for. You can't just set up shop and expect them to figure it out because of the graphics. So the concept of giveaways is number 4. So you've seen people have the imprinted pens and things. Oh, take a pen. And like at the end of the show, everybody's trying to get rid of the stuff. You know, they start handing it out to all the exhibitors and stuff. You want, with the giveaways that you have, you want to give away something that's relevant to your product or service or cause, whatever you're trying to do. Like say, for example, you're a software company. You might give away a little USB thumb drive with your logo on it, but then on the thumb drive, maybe you have a little a PDF document of a tip sheet about your business or something. Or maybe there's a little app in there that they can download and use. So that USB drive should be something that's relevant to your product or service. A lot of people always have a little candy dish out there. That's kind of nice and everything, but does the candy dish help you qualify? Granted, it does draw people in, and maybe you can grab them and have a conversation, but oftentimes it's just they want to grab the chocolate and move on. So sometimes a candy dish isn't always the best giveaway kind of thing. There was a client I worked with at a packaging expo, and his objective, what he was trying to do, was connect with the other exhibitors at the show. So what he did was he set up a popcorn machine in his booth, and the smell of the popcorn was all over the show floor, and he had free popcorn. And when the show was kind of slow, the exhibitors would come out, And hey, Don, you got some more popcorn? And that helped him create relationships with all the other exhibitors. So that achieved his objective by having the giveaway of free popcorn in the booth. Plus, he used the olfactory system with the smell of the popcorn and everything all over the show floor. So we'll go to the other side. And number five is graphics. Sometimes people, when they do their graphics in their booth and their pull-up banner stands, oftentimes they try and put too much information. They put bullet this, bullet that, bullet this, bullet that, too much. They write paragraphs, our mission statement, our vision statement. And oftentimes people don't have time to read all that stuff. So another thing that people don't realize is where you place the graphics in your booth or in your display. It's when people are looking up, they are in more of a thinking mode. They're contemplating. So you might want to put those types of graphics higher in your booth space. And then lower in the booth space, you might put things that are more decision kind of things, like phone numbers, call us at, or send us an email at, or come to visit our website. Because when people are looking down, they're more in a decision kind of mode. So up top, they're thinking. You see people like that. And then when they're looking down, they're kind of ready to make a decision. So that's what you want to take into consideration when you're doing your graphics. And your graphics, again, should be congruent with your pre-show mailings or your pre-show promotions so that it's relevant, maybe a color scheme and a brand. It should all have a through line to it. Number 6 is the product. If you've got a physical product, you probably should have it in the booth. Like if you're selling copiers, you probably should take the expense of bringing a product, bringing my timer went off here. There we go. Sorry. You got to bring a product to the booth so they can actually see what it is and they understand. And number 8 is show guidelines. Sometimes shows or events, they have certain restrictions. Like during the COVID thing right now, there's that 6-foot distancing thing. We all know that, but sometimes if a trade show might have some rules, say an example is a historical building, they don't want you taping stuff on the walls. So if you came there with a big roll of duct tape and you're going to tape your banner up on the wall, that's a no-no and you can't do that. So now that you don't have that ability, because you didn't know the show rules, you don't know how to hang up your banner and you got to think, oh, who's got bungee cords and all that kind of stuff. So knowing the show rules, is it a union show where you can't plug stuff in because you got to hire a union guy to do it? So did you bring your checkbook or some cash to be able to get that union guy to do the work? So knowing the show rules and the guidelines, there may be guidelines like height restrictions or balloons. Oftentimes you can't have balloons because they go up and they get stuck and they'll fine you for it. So we're moving up to number 9. I had to count my fingers. 9. Number 9 is follow-up. You know, a lot of people don't follow up. For some reason, they think people are going to call them on Monday. But when you collected all these cards, and by the way, when you do these shows and events, it's not about distributing brochures, unless that's your objective, is just about getting information out. You want to just give out brochures. You're probably better off just going on the corner somewhere in the street and just handing them out rather than just handing out brochures. You want to bring information in. You want to collect information. So when you collect that information and all those business cards, you want to do some follow-up. And when you do your follow-up, you might want to even follow up right away. Maybe you can use your phone to scan the card, and you can maybe call them right away and just leave a voicemail. Say, hey, I saw you at the show. I'm here right now. Let's maybe talk on Monday. So now you're first. Now, if you wait to get back to the office, there's going to be all those other vendors and all the other people prospecting, and they're all calling at the same time. So that person's, oh my God, I get calls all day long. Maybe you want to wait a couple days or maybe a week until it slows down and then contact them. So there's different strategies behind the follow-up, but you do have to follow up and not follow up. Whoops. Sorry, dropped my notes. So number 10. Number 10 is evaluation. After the show's all over, you want to take a look at what worked and what didn't work. You know, did you possibly forget to bring pliers and a scissors and paper clips and a stapler and some clipboards? Did you forget all that stuff? You want to evaluate all that. You want to find out, was it worth it to bring this entire staff, or should we have brought more people? Maybe someone on the front line that's a people person, and someone in the middle to do some sales, and someone in the back to help with technical issues that can help how those things work. So evaluate the event and the experience so that when you do it again next time, you can have some notes and some guidelines and things. So those are the 10 key elements of event marketing. Now, when I talk about event marketing, I use the example of a booth space. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trade show. It could be a situation where you want to leverage a live event to market your products or services. So as an example, I do some work with the Paradise Charters out on Lake Minnetonka and the Mississippi River. And say, for example, there was a real estate agent that wanted to get in contact with people that are first-time home buyers. You can do some strategic marketing, find those people and get them on the boat and just, buy them a Sunday brunch or take them out on a pizza cruise. And you don't necessarily have to rent the boat yourself. You can take them out on a public cruise. And you bring your little group there. Now you're on the boat for 2 hours as a real estate agent with, 15, 20 prospective home buyers, first-time home buyers. Or say, for example, you're a insurance agent and you want to insure people for maybe event planners. You want to find event planners and you want to sell them event insurance. And there's a insurance, I believe it's called hole-in-one insurance, in case you do a golf tournament and someone actually gets a hole-in-one, there's insurance to cover that payout. So maybe you want to do an event over at Top Golf and you invite all of these event planners that are planning the company golf tournament. You invite all of them to Top Golf for cocktails and drive some golf balls. You've got that audience right there. So it's not necessarily a trade show that you're working at. It could be any kind of event. I've done events at comedy clubs. I've done events just going to, like I said, on the cruises. I've done events where I take people out to a happy hour, and then after that we go see a show. So it depends on what you want to do, whether it be an event where they're captive at a comedy club, or if you want to just be more of a mix and mingle thing on a cruise. Anyways, that's all I've got for now. And if you have any questions, we'll see you at the Zoom room after the event. Or if you want to connect with me, the way you do it is you just Google the keyword MagicBrad, and that's how you find me. I've got stuff all over the internet. That's my brand. So thank you very much, Travis.